The World Cup has now been moved to November and December. It's going to take place in winter, but I'm going to throw this one to Francis Maxwell to give us a little more information regarding why Sepp Blatter is a moron, which we have talked about multiple times on TYT Sports, and I'm sure we'll cross over to the rundown. Francis, please enlighten us as to why you think, at least, this is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard.
So, I mean, not only is it going to upset domestic leagues, like the Premier League does not take a break through the winter. The La Liga has a brief break, but the Premier League plays games the day after Christmas. Like you're going to have to move the whole schedule back, which, I mean, for players in their own right, if you look at players and their fatigue level after the World Cup, you're playing games between 1 and 3 days. Like sometimes you have a little bit of a break, but they are putting their body through an enormous amount of stress. You think that Real Madrid are going to go, I keep referencing Ronaldo because he's the one out there, going to let him play a full World Cup, and then if Portugal go that far, and then he has to come back and compete in the Champions League for Real Madrid, there's no way he's going to be at that same level of fitness than what he's going to perform at that time. So that's one of the issues. And of course, it's a culture thing. I love the World Cup in the summer. I love to go and drink and have if it's in a nice exotic place, you just feel as if you're there.
Like Qatar.
Like Qatar, right? When it's 127 degrees. Now, it was an issue that we brought up right at the start. I mean, Sepp Blatter's an idiot. I have no worries about saying it. He's homophobic, he's sexist, he's racist. He should not be the president at FIFA to try and... He's supposed to be the pinnacle of the world's most beautiful game, as I like to call it, and he's by far not a beautiful character. So
he makes... Sepp Blatter makes Roger Goodell, the NFL's commissioner, look like a saint. He can do no wrong, and you didn't think it could get any worse for sports. But Victor and David are also here joining us for the rundown, and I'm curious as your guys' thoughts. As fans of the World Cup in general, it would compete with the NFL, and I know now, at one point I would think that the NFL was bigger than soccer, but you learn a lot over the course of a few years, and that's simply just an ignorant argument. More people are going to watch the World Cup than they watch the NFL, granted the time difference because it's the world versus the United States. Yeah. So if this is to happen in November and December, does it change your perspective of the World Cup? Are you less likely to watch, more likely to watch? What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, Victor and ours opinions counts a lot less because we don't speak with British accents.
Right.
So you can discount everything we say by about 75%.
We'll give you 60.
60%. Yeah. Thank you very much. You know, the time difference is another huge issue here. I was told that these games are going to be played so early in the morning here that I'm already used to getting up in Los Angeles at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. to watch the American football games during the season. Now we're going to have to get up at 2, 3. It's going to be a bunch of all-nighters for the entire
nocturnal.
3 weeks of this tournament. I can't wait.
Victor, any thoughts on?
I think it's going to be wild just to have it going head-to-head against the NFL, college football, NBA, NHL's getting underway. It will hopefully never happen again because this is such a farce that they've had to do this. And I think you should just make the best of it. I think what it really does is put a spotlight on what a joke it was, like you're saying in the first place, that this happened.
Right.
And maybe that shines a light on Blatter and the whole bunch of the cronies that, however this happened, you know, it's a complete fraud, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty. So maybe this exposes it and create some real change down the line.
Well,
and
we would absolutely hope for that because this World Cup is it's 2022. We're talking over 6, 7 years away. That something's got to change, something's got to give. They got to move it, hopefully, to the United States where we can host it over the summer.
I don't know if you saw the news, but it snuck in the last 2 weeks that they actually awarded the next World Cup games to Fox, who's the local broadcaster in the United States, without a bid. So they asked ESPN, they asked other people if they had a chance to bid on it. NBC, they did not. It was given to Fox. Now, the question is that simply done as a make-good for the fact that this is going to screw up their schedule as it relates to all the NFL broadcasts they do, the fact that they've got a very large college business now, and you're hitting in the prime time for American sports, not to mention international sports. So is that a make-good? Was that done to, you know, appease the major broadcaster who's paying the largest rights fee here?
I think it could be, definitely. You make a good point. And it's just something that is so ridiculous, and it's frustrating because I've been in the United States now for 5 years and I've seen the sport grow. Like, there's a reason why NBC are absolutely rolling in the cash at the moment because of their coverage of the Premier League in the morning. Like, people are now waking up and watching these Premier League games at 8 and 9 in the morning, and if you look at the statistics and the ratings, they are blowing a lot of American sports out of the water, with the NFL still being the major sport when that's in season. But it's ridiculous because it's going to take everything a step back. And not to mention, well, forgetting what the next tournament is going to be. It's in Russia. Russia don't have the money to pay for this. Putin has actually came out and asked Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich, who's a billionaire, to help fund them. to try and fund this competition. To build,
he's asking the
build
right
this-
guy.
He's just
he's
asking
the right guy.
his friend.
You're my friend. You're Russian friend.
Spot
You build
me
it.
the 150 mil.
In
That's
Brazil
all.
as well, I mean, we could start this. We could go over this argument. It's the reason why people's lives in Brazil have got worse since the World Cup, when it's supposed to help bring the country up economically, because FIFA care about money. You talk about it as well, David. Like, it's all about the money in it. Stadiums were built in shanty towns where they were supposed to actually have coverage, but they were built in areas that shouldn't have stadiums. In Brazil, in Manaus and stuff like that. So it's FIFA. They'll do whatever it is to keep their wallet heavy, to keep Sepp Blatter in charge. And if it doesn't change something, I think there's going to be riots, uproars. Leagues like the La Liga and the Premier League have got to do something, because there's no way that can stand.
No, it just is. It's way too ridiculous. By the way, David, you forgot to mention, as part of that 2026 World Cup, it's going to be held on the very gaseous planet of Venus, where conditions they're working it out. But
It's 127 degrees, but it's playable.
That's why 2022 is just a preliminary.
You know, we did a story right when they announced that Qatar was getting the World Cup, that they were creating this technology that was going to have basically dirigibles, blimps, massive blimps that were going to go over the stadiums during the games to cool the fans and the players.
And block
it was
the
one
sun.
of our most and block the sun. It was one of our most popular stories on the post game, based on some real technology that people claimed was going to be used by the government to allow this to happen. I guess that technology has now worked out.
Well, another story just broke. Actually, just broke 5 minutes ago in my mind. They're actually going to have people running around the field with shades around the players, just to hold them, to make sure that they're in shade throughout the game, just to keep
A lot of
things
water
good.
bottles.
Yeah, a lot of water bottles. and
Goodyear
breaks.
blimp is about to rake in so much money. They're praying that this actually happens in Qatar. Guys, what do you think? Is the 2022 World Cup really going to take place in November and December, in the winter? The beautiful game, as Francis calls it? We don't know. If it has to do with money, quite possibly. Where do you think the World Cup should be held in 2022? From Francis, Victor, David, a.k.a. Thundercats. You're never going to get that one let go. Jason Rubin from The Rundown. Don't forget to subscribe to both TYT Sports and the Postgame, and make sure to go over and check out thepostgame.com for some awesome sports content.